or not. So we looked at that, and also we went to look at what is the meaning of operations and how do we differentiate project, program, and portfolios. We look at the similarities between project and also um, operations. So we looked at some of the other things as regard to how to manage projects. We now looked at the definition of project management, and we look at the five process group, and also we also looked at some of the things that we do when we manage projects. All right, and we concluded yesterday's class by looking at the concept of constraint and balancing constraint. So today we want to look at the project life cycle. The project life cycle. The question now is, what is a project life cycle? Well, it is a very familiar um, term, life cycle. So I would not really want to ask anybody what it is, okay? But we know that a project life cycle, in a layman words, we can say, as it relates to project, we can define it as those logical steps, all right? Those logical steps that contains the process or phase or stages that the project will pass through from its initiation to its closure. Okay, that is the concept of what a project life cycle. So now, if I have a project, just like yesterday, Lola gave us a breakdown. So Lola gave us a breakdown of a project. In such a scenario, you discover that there are going to be some series of steps or some series of stages, some series of phases that you have to pass through in order to achieve the entire project. Excuse me, sir, is there a difference between process group and life cycle? Of course. And what advantage do we have as it relates to managing project, discussing project life cycle? Remember, in our definition of a project management, we said there was a point in that definition where I was emphasizing project activities. Now, the project activities, I remember saying clearly that every industry have different project activities that will definitely, as a project manager, you will carry out that will bring to a conclusion of that particular project. So now a project life cycle is tailored to the project activities of every industries. Do you get that now? So every industries have series of events that you need to do as it relates to managing projects. For example, in the construction industry, you are managing projects in the construction industry. There are some series of phase of things you have to do to manage such projects. You are managing projects in the maritime industry, like one of my students. There are series of phases you have to, series of stages of activities that you have to do in order to complete a project in the maritime space or in the IT space where you are developing application and software. Excuse me, there are series of things you have to do. So that is what the project life cycle is. But now, if you now want to decode the project life cycle in a different level, we can now write down and say project life cycle are simply what you need to do the work. You can put it down in your own terms, like, okay, a project life cycle is simply the what or the logical step of what I need to do the work. So irrespective of the industry you find yourself, that, oh, please, we need you to come and help us manage this project. The question you should ask yourself in building or developing the project activities as it pertains to that project is by asking yourself, what do I need to do? What are the logical steps of things that I need to do to actually get this work done? That becomes a project life cycle. So if I now know the series of things that I need to do to get the work done, then how can I also bring the idea? When we started, we said that we need to follow process group. So how do I now bring that idea of process group into it? How do I relate them? How do I manage those two together? Because take note, guys, we talked about process group as a secret of managing projects in the real world. So also the concept of project life cycle. So if, for instance, now I want to manage any project from any other industry, and they told me, oh, this is the project, the first thing I think about are the project activities. And I begin to ask myself, okay, what are those things that I need to do to actually get this work done? That is what we refer to as project life cycle. All right. Excuse me, the project life cycle, is it the project manager that must sit down and define the life cycle? Or is there a standard life cycle that the PMI has given to everyone? Well, there is no standard life cycle. Every industry, you can tailor the life cycle to the project you are working on. But it is common to find generic life cycle like start the project, organize the project, carry out the project work. But this is just for a layman. But being in project or whatever project you are doing, there are different series of activities, project activities. Arranging those project activities is what we are referring to a life cycle. Let's look at this example now on the screen. The IT class or the IT space. You're gonna say, okay, what are the let's say for instance you are asked to develop a WooCommerce website, all right, where you can be able to perform or where customer will interact daily and be able to complete transaction without interfacing with any physical customer. All right, so I can go to that website, place an order, make my payment, and at the end of a period of time, I get delivery. Okay, so that is related to an IT project. So in that kind of case, you look at this life cycle. You can ask yourself, okay, the high level design, how will it look like? Just have a sketchy idea. Okay, from that sketchy idea, let's look at it in more detailed terms. What are the things we need to put in place? Breaking down all those sketchy aspects of the ideas. Okay, how do we go about coding each of those aspects of the ideas? Testing, installing. Excuse me, sir, please take note. In an IT industry, is this the standard project life cycle, for instance, in an IT industry? No. And take note, it is dependent on the project manager. So remember, project management is the application of knowledge. So it is the project managers that will decide, okay, you know what, I want to use this particular kind of life cycle, except it is stated in the contract document. I've seen instances where some organizations will prefer a particular steps because that is how they want to be approving money, depending on the kind of project. Like in the construction industries, where you have Mr. Godwin, all right, to tell you that, oh, when you are done with this, we'll release money. When you are done with that, we'll release money. When you are done with that, we'll release money. Okay, so that is only time the organization decide on the life cycle or the series of phases they want the project to pass through. But ideally, it is the project manager's call to define those series of stages. And now, is the project manager going to do it alone? No, he's going to do it with his team, because it is the team member the project manager will work with will actually help him to know what life cycle, what are those project activities as it relates to that particular project. Is that clear, please? Okay. All right. Lola, can I get a yes from you? Is that clear? All right. Now, how do we now? You mentioned five process group, and you mentioned life cycle. You want to confuse me, sir? How does it work in the real world? Please look at the trick so that whatever project comes your way, irrespective of the industry you find yourself, just relax, chillax. It's simple. Understand this thing that you have to have a process group, which you already know you have to follow. Then you have to do a life cycle of the project. Okay? Now, you have successfully defined the life cycle. You have successfully defined the life cycle. All right? You know, this is just an example now. All right? So you can see in this life cycle that we have on this project, let's say for instance, clean up, um, clean up hazardous waste sites. For example, is the project, and this is the life cycle. All right, this is part of the life cycle. You said, okay, facility decommissioning, waste removal, landscaping, all that. Now, that is the life cycle. How do we now relate this life cycle with process group? Please listen. In the real world, what we are saying is this: when you are now managing your project, in each of the life cycle, you must perform the 5 process group. So which means if I design with my team this life cycle for this IT project we want to work on, a WooCommerce website, it simply means that under high level design, I must perform the 5 process group, which means under high level design, I'm going to sit down as a project manager to begin to discuss, okay, what do I need to do to initiate this high level design? What do I need to do what are the plans I need to put in place to have this high level design to run? How do we execute it? How do I monitor and control it? And how do I close it? Do you get that now? So when that is completed, this gives you the opportunity to have a verified deliverable before going to the next stage. So if there's going to be any issue, you repeat that cycle. If at the end of closing this high level design phase there is an issue, and you can easily make the adjustment before going to detailed design, before going to coding. So let's say you are under coding now with your team. You're going to ask yourself, what do I need to, how do I initiate this coding? Okay, I need to bring the team on board. Oh, probably we need to get those guys that will help us do the coding. They are part of you. You have to know that. Okay, what are the plans? What are the series of activities that need to be coded? Especially now in this aspect of coding, now that's where we look at the technicality or the technical requirement of what needs to be coded. Okay, then you now look at, okay, who is going to execute it? Oh, I have some team guys that is going to execute this and this and this. Okay, in addition to that, how do we do monitoring and control to ensure that we are able to verify and review the code, ensure we test it and do all those things before it goes to um, the other integrated testing. So you can see that when you have successfully done this stage, before the task move from coding to a testing phase, you see that you as a project manager, you are very confident of what has been done. So when it gets to testing phase, remember testing phase sometimes we have organizations who do testing for some project. Like for instance now, we have seen um, like if you are doing a building project, if there's need to be testing or that bridging project need to be tested, definitely there's an organization that will help you confirm that, not the project organization. Because if the project organization are the one that has to do the testing, we'll have a repeat of what happened in Koyi. All right, that's by the way. Okay, I just hope this is clear. All right, thank you very much. On managing project, that is the secret. Then now under the project life cycle, we have 3 categories of some people refer to it as types of project life cycle, but I would like to refer to it as categories. We have the plan driven project life cycle, we have the change driven project life cycle, and we have the hybrid project life cycle. I don't want to ask you what it means, all right, but I want to say that I want you to take note of I don't want you to just take note of the definition. I want you to take note of when to use it and in what industry. All right? Take note. That's because nobody will ask you the definition of plan driven or all those life cycle, but you'll be asked question on as it relates to when to use it and knowing when to use it. So plan driven life cycle as it sounds, definition. It simply sound as it sounds, it simply means oh plan. All right, let me have the details of all I need to do upfront before starting the project. That is plan driven life cycle, which means I have to plan the project from beginning to the end, even before starting. It's called plan driven life cycle. That is why you see some organizations commissioned a prototype of a project that they've not even started. They commission it, they do ceremony. Why? Because it's plan driven. Or you see on a project site, they've never even started a project, or you see a signboard of all that they want to do. You say, oh, this place, they want to convert this. Just like if you still remember the way Oshodi used to look like. When they've not started demolishing that aspect of Lagos, they gave us a prototype, shown us a billboard of how they want Oshodi to turn to. Why were they able to give us that picture? Because it is plan driven. They've already planned all the aspects of the project before starting the project. Now, at what point, sir, can I know that I need to make use of plan driven? Please, that is what I want you to take note. It is at that point, let's say for instance, you are discussing with your client, all right? You are discussing with your customer, okay? So the point where you are discussing with your customer, if that customer or your boss can give you a detailed scope, a detailed schedule, a detailed cost of what they want to achieve in that project, even before starting the project, automatically, as the project manager, you're supposed to use what? Plan driven. So if I'm having a discussion with a customer or a client, and the customer is able to provide in details, take note, that is the key word, enough information regarding the scope of work we want to do. So the person is very articulate on what he wants in the project. He detailed it out. It gives you all the phases of the project. This is how I want it. This is what I want you to do at this time. And is able to tell you when I want this project to be ready. And he can tell you the cost that he has in mind, the budget he has in mind. Then at that point, it is expected you make use of what? The plan-driven project lifecycle. Under plan-driven project lifecycle, you can see projects like constructions. You can see projects like which other projects now? Like in Lola's field, where the customer will have to give you a detailed definition or a detailed explanation or a detailed enough information regarding what they want to do. Remember, they've not started the project, but you're having a discussion with the customer or the client or the boss. He has given you a detailed information before you even started. That is plan driven. And take note, a plan driven project lifecycle can also be referred to as predictive or waterfall or traditional life cycle. So traditional life cycle, waterfall life cycle, predictive, they all mean plan driven. Which means as in a waterfall system, you have all the step-by-step things that needs to be done. They've told you, they've explained it to you, and you go and implement it. It's plan driven. So in your exam, you may not come across plan driven, but you may come across predictive. You may come across waterfall or traditional life cycle. It simply means that knowing in detail upfront what you need to do before starting the project. We call it plan driven. Then the second one, which is the change driven project lifecycle. The change during project life cycle is that life cycle as it sounds that gives room for you to make a lot of changes as you progress in the project. It gives room to make an adjustment, correction. Okay. Now the point now is that, excuse me, sir, how do I know from discussing with a client when to make use of change driven project life cycle? The best way to know is simply at that beginning stage where you are discussing with the client about the customer is briefing you about the project. You only have a little information at the early stage of discussing with you, and he's telling you that, you know what, I think when we start, I can give you more information. At that point, automatically use the change driven life cycle. So, which means at that early discussion stage, you cannot determine cost. At that early discussion stage, you cannot determine the time you will complete the project. But what you can determine and you are sure of is the little scope of information the person has given to you. And you decide to start the project based on that scope or that high level scope of information the person gave to you. So that information is most likely not to be sufficient for you to know the beginning and end of the project. But the person can come and give you the starting discussion. Okay, I want you to start from here. As we progress, I will give you more things to work on. At that point, you use what? Change driven project lifecycle. And the concept behind change driven project lifecycle is that technically, whatever kind of project you are doing that involve change driven, it simply means that the customer, the owner of the project, has rights to make change even when you are rounding off the project. Is legal. Why? Because it's change driven project life cycle. Example, let's say for instance I did a project where I need to do um, um, it involves some videos. All right, shooting the videos, um, editing the video, although there are different process and different people that does that. You see that the person that shot the video is different from the person that's going to edit, is different from the person that's going to provide the information needed, is going to so in that kind of case you see that, just imagine somebody edit a video and it looks fine, and you now look at it and say, I don't want that color, I don't want this. The person goes back and change it and bring it back. Look at it. I've changed my mind again. I think it would be better if we make this. The person, if it is a plan driven, the person would not even have to come to you. The person will definitely come to you with a complete finished project for you to start making an adjustment. But in this case, the person keep going back and forth until you get it right. So that is why if you look at this end part, this small note I wrote here, you see that it delivers a complete usable portion of the project for each iteration. So which means at every time you complete the work, it's usable portion, is not the full. It gives room. Okay, let's make an adjustment. Okay, you continue the iteration again until you get it right. That is what change driven. And as a change driven can also be referred to as iterative, incremental, or the adaptive, which refers to agile. But in today's context, we often refer to it as what? Agile. So it is the agile life cycle that we are talking about when we discuss the change driven project life cycle. It gives room for you to keep making adjustments, having a lot of iterations until you finally get the finished product that satisfies the customer. Is that clear? So technically you can't use change driven for a construction project. All right, you ask for a construction of road. All right, and while they've done all their estimation, you now came, they bought all the materials, and you now say, you know what, this road, I don't want you to do I don't want you to do it this way, do it that way. Let's do this adjustment. Instead of going right, let's take it left. Hey, I don't know, Mr. Godwin, do you people have such in your industry? Have you encountered such? It will lead to Oh my God. It only exactly, exactly. So it's very, very important. Okay. Then we have the third one, which is hybrid. All right. It is a combination of both. It takes advantage of the benefits you have for the plan driven and the benefits you have for the change driven. So you can decide, I will call you soon, just hold on. So you can decide to say, okay, this project I want to do, I think I have some informations that are enough to start planning. So if for instance you have been able to define all the phases of the project, you can now say, okay, this phase, it looks more technical. All right, you know what? Let me use change driven. Let me use this other phase. Let me use plan driven. All right, so that is when you are making use of hybrid life cycle. Yes, for instance, you are building let's say for instance you are building a world class hotel. All right, definitely there are some other aspects of that project that will need the change driven life cycle. All right. Now, take note, I didn't mention the industry for change driven, the technological industry, the research and development industry. All right. A lot of change driven. Oh, because even many more industry have even adopted it. The advertising industry, the marketing industries. Several industries are adopting this change driven project life cycle. It gives room for you to make change. Especially take note, especially projects that you have not done before. A new project that involves technology that have not been done before. It is most often change driven. All right. In new project. You remember in the case of COVID-19, it was a new project. Several organizations embarked on that project. They keep doing trial and error, trial and error, trial and error until they get something right, get the vaccine right. Because there was no vaccine before, but they keep doing trial and error until they were able to come up with a vaccine. So it's a change driven. Something new in the environment that have to do with technology is what change driven project license. Yes, quickly go to your question. All right, all right. Yes, there's something I want to quickly mention here that I forget because of exam. All right, please look at. You know, I told you that if, for instance, you are dealing on whatever project life cycle you have designed, and you decide to work on this high level design, for example, and I told you that you do the five process group, and when you are done, you close, you move to the next phase of the project. That process of exiting a phase to another phase, starting a new phase, we refer to it as what? Phase gate. All right? Or exit gate. Take note of that for the purpose of exam. All right? So I think I've come across questions where they ask, oh, you just finished a phase and you are about to launch a new phase. What is that technique called? Refer to it as what? Phase gate or exit gate. Okay, are we good to go? All right. So, yes. No, phase gate is just like you finish one project, you move from one project office to another office. You just like you move, you are in the marketing example. This is an example. All right, you are in the marketing office. You step out from the marketing office. You are going to open a door. to enter the IT office. That process of leaving the marketing office that you just finished and entering the IT office, that door you are opening and closing, because you are done with the marketing industry, we refer to it as phase gates to enter into a new project. Is We're saying that that transition of moving from one phase to another is called phase gate. But this must have been that you have developed your project life cycle. Is that exactly? Exactly. I don't know what Lola is there any other term you guys use in your industry for that? Okay. No, 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 for the project life cycle. All right. Okay. All right. So take note of that. So now, we've discussed the project life cycle. Then the next thing we need to also discuss about as relate to fundamentals in project management is what we refer to as the PMO. Okay. What is the PMO? The Project Management Office. Take note, the PMO is not a person, it is not a single entity, right? So it's not a person. The PMO is like having a department or a unit that manages the project for that organization. So which means in a standard organization, you're supposed to have the project management office. So that every project you want to manage, you go to that office, you discuss with the project manager and the team. Refers to that as PMO. So a PMO is a department, is an or a unit, all right, that helps to centralize, coordinate the management of projects in that particular organization. So everything that they discuss about project goes to that organize inside that unit or inside that department where they manages it. That is what the PMO. And they take note, the PMO can serve different functions. All right, I will try to explain this in a different context. And the reason why I need to explain this in all these contexts is so that we've seen that you may find yourself in an organization that have a project management office or that they adopt a project management kind of office, but they know that you are the project manager. And okay, let me rephrase. You may find yourself in an organization where you enter and they don't have project management office as a department, but they operate the project management office guide. All right. So you enter that department, there's nowhere you enter and now say, oh, this is the entrance, and I wrote project management office. So you just discover that you are sharing table with different departments. But you discover that in that context or that organization, they are operating their own project PMO function. Now, let's now relate this. I've not been to the airport before, except for the fact that I used to see it in televisions. Okay, but I know that in the airport there is what refers to as the control tower, and in the airport there's also what refers to as a plane. You must have a plane in the airport, and in the airport, for you to have a plane, definitely you're going to have a pilot. That is what I know. But how does this relate to us? I want you to see the airport as the project organization or probably your own organization. Then I want you to see the um, control tower as the PMO of that organization. And I want you to see the plane as the project. And I want you to see the pilot as the project manager. So technically, in an airport, when you get to an airport, there is no way the plane will successfully land and take off without support from the control tower. Hello? But does that mean that it is the control tower that is the pilot of the plane? No. But the pilot of the plane is in charge of ensuring he lands the plane and he takes off the plane. But there is no way he can do that without the backings and confirmations he gets from the control tower. So also the case of the PMO. So there is no way a project manager can successfully complete a project without a support from the PMO. So which means in the PMO office you can have different project managers. And in that PMO office, a project manager is selected to handle a project. All right. And the project manager gets the necessary support he may desire to ensure that that project is a success from that office. That is the way the PMO operates. They give support to the project manager. So take note, the primary function of the PMO is to provide support. To who? The project managers. That is the primary function. But now on the screen, you can see that I wrote that the PMO can operate in 3 different dimensions, especially when you find yourself in such an organization. We have seen an organization where the PMO provides support. By providing support in that organization, we are only saying that in that organization, the PMO ensure that the project manager gets all that he needs to succeed in that project without them interfering. They don't just like when the pilot is moving the plane around. It is not the control tower that tells the pilot how to move the plane. The pilot applies the knowledge he knows to move the plane. So also in the PMO office, if you discover you find yourself in a PMO office that provides supportive function, it simply means that that PMO office is simply providing the project manager with any support he requires for him to succeed, but he's not controlling the project manager on what to do. We can say that that kind of PMO office is functioning as what? A supportive PMO office. So also, we can also discover you can also find yourself in an organization where the PMO office is controlling. By controlling in this context, we simply means that they don't give the project manager the total control to exploit his knowledge or apply his knowledge to the project, but rather they put some level of compliance by saying that there are some rules, some guidance, there are some policies that you have to follow. Why do they do that? So that they can easily checkmate the project manager. So now why I'm saying this so that you can know if in your organization and you are currently carrying out the project management role, you know, oh, this is exactly how my organization is the role they are performing. So that is what they're controlling. They ensure compliance. They ensure you follow the process, you fill the form. They ensure you do this. They always ensuring. Not that they are totally controlling you, but they give you some level of authority to carry out make some decisions, do what you want in the project, but they also ensure compliance. Unlike supportive, where you are in total control of the project, you make all decisions yourself. That is what supportive and controlling. But in directive, you now see that the PMO office is just acting indirectly controlling and managing the project, just using you as a face figure. Back end, they are the one telling you what and how you should do and manage the project. In that kind of case, the project manager don't have total control. So which means the PMO office have what? High control in the directive PMO function. In controlling, they have medium control, and in supporting, they have no control. All right. So if you now reverse it, the project manager have total control and he can make authority. He has total authority in supportive. In controlling, has medium authority. Then in directive, he has no authority. Why? Because the PMO, they are the one that decide and make decisions and tell him, go and do it like this for us. Is that clear? All right. Yes. But the primary function of the PMO is to provide support, which is the first one. And what are the supports they are providing? They help to get resources. Oh, you are working on a project and you need resources. You need more people. Instead of you cracking your head thinking of how you are going to do interview, get more developers or get more hands on the project, you just make a call to the PMO office that you will need like 2 people. They can help you work underground to get the people for you. That is resources. All right. Or if there's available resources in another department, they can help you fetch that resources and assign that resources to work with you without you stressing, leaving the project focus and go back look for resources. They can help you with methodologies, help you develop your plans, help you with templates. You can call and say, I need template for the project charter. Do you have it? I need template for resource management. I need template for this. They can help you because it's an office. You're not the only project manager in that office. All right, that is what the PMO. They can help you with coaching and training. Not that they are training you or they are coaching you, but rather they can help you coach your team members. They can help you train the team members they are working with. They can provide guidance. They can provide all form of communications. Oh, for instance, now you are having a project where you are integrating with another organization, and by integrating with the other organization, you now decide to you want to speak with the maybe the managing director of that organization, or you want to reach out to a key member of that organization you are communicating with. So in such a case, you don't have the information of that key member of that organization. You can easily reach out to your PMO office to provide and assist you in contacting that organization with that particular information you want to request. That is the function of the PMO. All right, so all these are the roles that the PMO office provide. 1 minute, please. Hello, can you hear me? All right, sorry, I lost my connection. All right. So all these are the different roles or the functions the PMO provides. Okay. So now, having discussed about the PMO, let's move further. There's what we refer to as organizational structure. It is agreed that no project operates and exists in a vacuum. Every project must definitely operate from an organization. An organization must spearhead, must lead the project, must spearhead and lead the project. That is what organizational structure. And that is why you discover that every organizations have different structures, have different policies, have different culture, have different style. And the reason why we are talking about organizational structure is because it has a way of affecting the project manager. That is why you discover that even if you are a project manager in a bank, you discover that different banks have their different structures. So they have their different organizational structures. So now you need to take advantage of those organizational structure in achieving your project goals. Some organizations have their visions are different. Some organizations, their value, their beliefs, everything about those organizations are different. Their reward systems, their motivations, their code of conduct, the way they operate, they are different. Currently, there are some organizations that permit remote, some organizations do not. So these are different cultures. So as a project manager, you must know the culture of that organization so that you can be able to operate or influence your project to a great conclusion. Now, what are the different type of organizational structure? So which means as a project manager, what kind of structure do you may most likely come across when you are working as a project manager in any organization? We have the functional, we have the matrix, we have the projectiles. Under the functional, you can see weak matrix, balanced matrix, and strong matrix. All right. So without wasting much time, yes, Wale, what is a functional organization? Mm, well, okay, okay. Let's hear from somebody else. Mr. Iberi, Mr. Iberi, are you there? Let's hear your voice. Hello, Mr. Iberi, are you there? Hello, Mr. Iberi. Yes, hello. Can hear you now. Okay. All right, Lola, let's hear from you. Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Um, um, Mr. Wale, is that clear? All right. Okay. So technically, we can say that a functional organization is those organizations that are categorized based on areas of specializations. All right. You are coming up with an organization, or you are working into an organization. You now discover that, oh, this organization have different area of specializations. All right, which means they have different functional areas. If I get myself in the accounting department, which means I can develop myself in the accounting department to become maybe the accounting head, get all the certification I need to get as a result of developing myself in the accounting area of specialization. Or maybe in the manufacturing department, I mean, and the engineering, and the one that helps to fix their generator and other technical stuff. So which means I can develop myself in that area of specialization to get to become a specialist in that particular functional area as an engineer. That is what we mean by a functional organization. It is the everyday organization we find in our environment. Where you walk in there, you see the HRO, you see the accountant, you see the IT staff, you see the sales team. It is what a functional organization. But now, that is not even the core. How do projects operate in a functional organization? So, in a functional organization, projects most often are handled by that singular unit or department that is championing that project. Automatically, if there is a project in the accounting department to develop a new payroll system that can easily call the PENCOM number of staff, that can easily call the HMO scheme of staff, that can easily call other HRO training and other necessary things. Okay, all right, noted. All right, that can easily call forth other function. So you discover that in that kind of case, the unit that will the accounting unit responsible or that will be performing that project automatically becomes in charge of that project. So in such a case, a functional organization, when project is to occur in a functional organization, the project is done in that department by the team members of that department. So which means the team member in the accounting department will do their regular work and the project work. They will do their departmental work and also be working on that particular project work. That becomes what a functional organization. Excuse me, sir, can a project manager strive in this organization? No. Why? Because the head of that unit automatically is the project manager. That is how a functional organization works. So if in a system whereby they have a project manager in that organization, you see that because the organization is designed to work as a functional organization, the project manager reports to the head of that unit. That's what makes it what a functional organization. So which means when project is to be carried out in a functional organization, it is totally going to be in that unit where the project is originating from, or that will use the project, and the team members will be from that particular unit that will be performing where the project will be used or the end result will be used. So which means the team members will be reporting to the head of that department. All right. So and also team members in that regard can develop their career path as because it's an area of what specializations. So you can see that a functional organization focus more on performing projects in that particular unit. So if for instance a project is happening in the marketing department, it doesn't have to it will not interfere, or team members in the in the accounting department don't they will not have to interfere. Team members in the IT department will not have to interfere because it is strictly based on department or units. We refer to it as what? A functional organization. But take note, a project manager cannot strive in a functional organization. Why? Because he has little or no authority. It takes instruction from who? The boss, who is technically the head of that particular unit that is performing the project. I hope that is clear, please. Okay, the first question where what? Okay, okay. Yeah, the case study, yes. Yeah, you can say so. All right, but but the point now is that a functional organization still exists. All right, this is just like the breakdown. You see that the CEO or the HOD of that department automatically they are in charge. All right. So if there's going to be any project activities to be handled by the department head, automatically becomes the project manager. All right. So that is that. But a project manager in this kind of environment will have little or no authority as regard or relating to the project. That is that. Then the second organization is the projectized organization. The projectized organization. So when we say an organization is projectized, yes, Godwin, what do we mean? Hello, Godwin, are you there? Can you also speak up so that others can hear you? Yes, we can hear you now. Okay, all right, and that is correct, and that is correct. So we can say that a projectized or a project-oriented organization is that type of organization that all they do is projects. So the organization is totally based on organizing projects. All right. So all they do in that organization is to manage projects. So in such an organization, all right, that is project oriented, the project manager has total control of the project. Every other personnel, every other team members, every other people involved report to the project manager. And those team members that works in that project only complete the project work assigned to them. So refer to that as what? A projectized organization. Then just like as Godwin also mentioned, take note for the purpose of exam, a projectized organization is referred to as a no home. Is refers to as a no home. What do we mean by no home? A no home is a concept that explains that when a project is completed, the project team don't have any other work to do and they cannot return back to the organization. So they are disbanded until they have another project. Is that clear, please? That is the concept of a no home. So when they make reference to a projectized organization, or most times they will not use the word project oriented organization or projectized. They can tell you that in a no home organization, what they are simply mean that organization that is strictly based on managing projects in such a way that yes, the project manager has control of the project. The team members only perform the project work. They are efficient, they are organized, they are loyal to the project. But the problem now is that when they are done with that project, the organization is not going to staff them and say, don't worry, hold on. Another until they have another project, that's when they will bring them on board. So those team members that perform the project work will have nowhere to return to. So unlike the functional organization where they are done, they can go back to their departmental work and continue their regular operational work. That is what a no home organization. All right, is that clear? So we also have a matrix organization. In a matrix organization, this is more like taking the advantage of both the functional and the projectized. So what makes an organization a matrix organization is the fact that both that kind of organization can operate with both a functional manager and a project manager. Assumption, take note. For the purpose of exam, when you hear in a question or you are reading a question in an exam, you now say the organization is so so and so and so and so. As long as they mention organization, PMI want you to assume they are making reference to a matrix organization where you have both the functional manager and the project manager operating in the same capacity. We refer to it as what? A matrix organization. So, except in the question otherwise stated, like in a projectized or a project-oriented organization or in a functional organization, but by the time they just use the word an organization, they are referring to a matrix organization where you have both bosses, both the functional manager and the project manager working together to ensure that the project becomes successful. That is what a matrix organization. So team members in a matrix organization, when they are performing projects in such an organization, they report to two bosses, which means the functional manager and the project manager must work together to achieve the project goal. So the team members, they will perform the work they are expected to do and they will go back to their departmental work. That is what a matrix organization. But under a matrix organization, it is possible that you discover that that organization, yes, they are adopting the standard of a matrix whereby the two bosses, they align, they agree before starting the project. But you now discover that maybe the CEO gives the functional manager a upper hand over you, the project manager, and tells you that whatever decision he takes is final. In that kind of organization, we refer to it as what? A weak matrix organization. So I'm talking about the categories of matrix organization now. So under a matrix organization where the functional manager has authority more than the project manager, we refer to it as a weak matrix organization. That is why sometimes you see in an organization, the head of a department that you are working with may be senior to you in hierarchy in the project, in the hierarchy in the organization. He may earn more than you in the organization.
And because of that level, the CEO or the owners of the organization gives that person a superior authority. That is a weak matrix organization. We also have in a case whereby the project manager, because of his level of experience in managing projects, the organization submits to him to have total authority over the project and control. In such case, we refer to it as what? A strong matrix organization. So in a strong matrix organization, the project manager has total power. He has power over the project and make decisions. In a weak matrix, the functional manager is the oga. He has power. But both of them work together, but he still have power because of maybe his level. He's promoted. He's a HOD. He has worked in that organization for long. He has other hierarchy, all those what is it called? The organogram is topping the project manager, so he has more power because of his level. That is a weak matrix. But in an organization where they ensure that the project manager and the functional manager, irrespective of hierarchy in the organization, they have the same power, we refer to it as what? A balanced matrix. So which means in a balanced matrix, the power is shared between the functional manager and the project manager. So both of them have the same power. Please, is that clear? All right. All right, thank you very much. So that is that about the organizational structure and the essence, so that when you find yourself in under any organization, you know what you are expected to do and how you can maximize that kind of organization to achieving your own result. Because we have seen that there are some organizations that sabotage even the project manager by their structure. That you will be bringing ideas, the functional manager will look at it because he has more authority and say, no, 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 no. I don't think we should do it that way. Don't worry, I will revert back to you. Your ideas will just be piling up in the office. Why? Because that is a functional, is a weak matrix form of organization. All right. We have different project roles, right? We have the project manager roles, we have the project coordinator, and we have the project expediter. All right. We have so which means you can apply as a project manager, you can apply as a project coordinator, you can apply as a project expediter. All right. Now, a project manager has total control and power. He has the power to make decision as a project manager. All right. A project coordinator has little power to make decisions on a project. Little power to make decision on a project. But a project expediter, it have no power. It's just there. It's managing the project, but it cannot take decisions. If he needs to take any decision, you have to call head office or call the H. He has to call somebody. They will tell him what to do. That is what a project expediter. Project coordinator, yes, he can take little decisions, but he doesn't have total control. While the project manager has total control and can make most of the decisions. Do you is that clear? So there are different roles. So I don't want to start explaining the role what the project manager is doing and like all those things. You can read it up later. You can read it up later for your own. Then the skills the project manager must have. Remember when we're defining project management, knowledge. You must have knowledge. All right. Then performance. You must be willing to use the tools and techniques to achieve results. Okay. And also that and because that is where the application comes in. Then also lastly, your personal behaviors, how you carry yourself. your reputation management, your negotiation skills. All these are different skills that the project manager must have. In the business world, we refer to it as soft skills. All right. And these are the people management skills. You remember the exam content outline when we started? I told you that we have is in three phases. We have the people, we have the process, and we have the business. So under the people, these are the soft skills that is expected the project manager has. So as a project manager, your communication skills, because you are going to be engaging stakeholders, you're going to be engaging your team, you're going to be planning and organizing works. You're going to be developing budgets. You're going to manage conflict between the team. And not only between the team, between you and the organizations. That happens a lot. Then you're going to negotiate. All right. You're going to provide leadership for the project. You're going to be telling them and directing them what to do. You're going to build the team together. All these are soft skills or the interpersonal skills that the project manager must have. Is a must. That is why I say must have. So peradventure you look at those skills and you see some that you are not very efficient, learn it now. Learn it. Ask yourself, okay, what can I do to improve my communication skills? But when we're talking about communication, we're still going to dive into all this. We will know better. Right? So, but you can learn it on your own. Okay, how do I improve my communications? All right, so the next thing we'll look at is how project comes about. Hope we are not tired. Are we good to go? Should I still continue? Sorry, let me continue. Even if you don't answer, even if you don't answer me, I want us to continue. Yeah, because in our next meeting, in our next meeting, okay, in our next meeting, I want us to start with integration. All right, I want us to start properly because this one we're just still doing fundamentals. We are still laying foundations. We are still trying to sort out the beginning. You discover that I did not ask you, Lola, where are you currently? Godwin, you discovered that I did not ask you, it's on purpose. Oh, I know what I'm doing. All right, because we also need to discuss that. It's very important. Now, understanding how project comes about. Yes, all right, yes, Mr. Iberi, let's hear from you. How do project comes about? Yes, Mr. Iberi, we can hear you. Ah, Grandma, welcome, ma.
Sitting down here. So, who are you looking for? He said, what? He said, is that because of you you on your phone light? He said,
Yeah.
I'll get with
Mm,
you.
yes. I'll
So,
call you.
they left the,
All right.
left
Apart from that, so that we not waste time. There are several um ways project comes about. All right. It can come as a result of market demand. Market demand in this context, we are simply saying that, well, there is more need for um, loan So let's develop an application that can easily give out loan because there's a demand for it. Like for instance, in Lagos, for example, you are building a new house, all right, and you have not finished completing the house. You see people that are ready to pay you to complete the house on time and so that they can pack in. Why is it so? Because there is market demand for housing. All right, there's market demand for it. So project can come as a result of what? Market demand. Also, strategic opportunities. All right, the organization comes together and look at a business need and say, well, we need to expand, and we need to, apart from expanding, we need to increase our customer base. And because what can we do to increase our customer base? So we need to have more presence in other locations. It can become a strategic opportunity and a business need. Oh, we need to have more locations, right? It becomes strategic, all right? Then apart from being strategic, project can come as a result of customers' requests. So customer can walk in and make a request that why are we not doing this? Maybe from their complaints, it can become, it can bring about projects. Maybe internal customer or external customer, it can bring about project. So when they have to make what request, and also project can come as a result of technological advancement. Like for instance, in Lagos now, they are still trialing, or you may have noticed, for those of us in Lagos, that they are trying to roll the 5G network. All right. So you discover that before now there's no 5G network in Nigeria. Right? So you discover that many telecommunication companies are going to roll out new projects to accommodate the 5G network. Many phone companies like Techno, Samsung, they're going to quickly come up with a new kind of phone product that will accommodate the 5G network. All right, that brings projects. New technological advancement brings about projects. All right, then also we have legal requirements. Legal requirements in this context, let's look at CBN saying that, well, there's going to be a design of the new Naira note, and there have been some adjustment to the cash limits you can withdraw and all that. So because of that announcement from that agency, you see that many banks and other financial related organizations are adjusting and embarking on projects to accommodate that policy. That is, project can come as a result of legal requirement from agency. Project can come as a result of ecological impact, even social needs like the pandemic. We saw during the pandemic, people decided and started manufacturing sanitizer, different form of sanitizer, local, semi-local, homemade and out-made, different form of sanitizer came into existence. The one that you use and it burn your hand and it peels your so that is it. And you see the what is that one called again? The palliative. All right. The social need, the pandemic brought about palliative projects. Several organizations began a palliative project. All right. So all these are ways project comes in. But now, how do we now select a project? Excuse me. Assuming you walk into the office tomorrow and your boss called you and say, "Oh, Mr. Ibere, I heard you are now a certified project manager." Yes, I've been battling with four projects that we want to commence this year, but I want to start with a particular one first. How do you advise your boss the project to select? What are the project selection methods? How do you go about selecting projects? So now we want to discuss project selection method. But before we discuss project selection method, any questions so far? Okay, Mr. Godwin, any question on it? Mr. Iberi? All right. So now, let's quickly look at the project selection method. Peradventure, you are faced with such a decision. How do I know that if I embark on this project, it will be worthwhile? It will validate the revenue that the organization is looking at. All right. So how? So we have two approaches. All right. Two approaches. The first approach is the mathematical approach or the mathematical model, which is also referred to as the calculation model, which is also referred to as the op constrained optimization model. Constrained optimization model. Constrained optimization model. All right. So under that mathematical model, the PMI do not want us to bother much about that. It's not they are not mathematical, so they just want us to know that it exists. If you can still remember your university days, I don't know if you guys did operation research. All right, there is a topic in operation research where you do all this mathematical model. All right, I don't know, 400 level or in 300 level, you do a course called operation research. I don't know if you did it. All right, but there's a course like that where you can come across all this mathematical model for making such decisions. All right, but take note, examples of this mathematical model, we have the linear programming, we have the linear programming, we have the integer programming, and we have the multi-dimension programming. So all these are the three. I said linear programming, we have the integer programming, and we have the multi-dimension programming. All right. So now under um, the second approach is the benefit measurement method, which is also referred to as the comparative method or the economic method. All right. Okay, comparative or the economic. So, but in this case, is a benefit measurement method, which means we want to compare the benefits. So, benefit measurement. So, we are measuring the benefit. So, this method is the method PMI focus on in measuring the benefit of embarking on such projects. That is the benefit measurement method. Right? So, under the benefit measurement method, we have two types. Under the benefit measurement method, we have two types. Number one, we have the non-financial approach and we have the financial approach. Just as it sounds, non-financial, it means that we're not going to do any financial justification or calculation. Financial approach, it simply means that we're going to do some financial justification to measure the benefits. So now, under the non-financial approach, let's look at examples. So under non-financial approach, example number one, we have what refers to as motherboard. Murder, to kill. That murder, M-U-R-D-E-R. Motherboard. A motherboard approach or a motherboard approach is that approach that shoots where the a set of committee is selected to shoot down project ideas. All right, please. Under this project selection method that we want to talk about, especially under the benefit measurement method, my area of focus for you is to focus more on the interpretation. Interpretation in this context is how do I make the decisions? All right, please pay attention to the interpretation. Okay, so in addition to listening to all the meaning, Pay attention to the interpretation. So that's the key for the exam, right? So the motherboard approach is that approach where there is a set of panels, special or a committee of panels set up to shoot down project ideas or to shoot down new project ideas. So what does that mean? It simply means that if an organization wants to use that approach to select a project that they brought in, let's say 5 projects that they want to embark on. So shooting down that project ideas is that that committee or that panel setup begins to look out for the negative reasons why that project should not be embarked upon. Interpretation. The project with the most negative reasons becomes the project to discard, while the project with the least negative reasons becomes the project of choice. Interpretation. The project with the most negative reasons becomes the project to discard, while the project with the least negative reasons becomes the project of choice. That is what the motherboard approach. All right, whereby you want to embark on a project, and that's okay. Let me look out for negative reasons why we should not embark on this project. Some people use it as an approach. It depends on the nature of project, and you now decide to look out for reasons why you should not embark on the project. So the projects among other projects that have the least negative reasons automatically becomes the best choice to make. All right, that is motherboard approach. Then the second one is peer review. All right, when you need to select a project and you ask your peer, fellow project manager, please, I have these 3 projects to select from. Please help me validate which one do you think I should embark on from experience. That is what peer review. Is that clear? That is what peer review. So when your colleagues helps you to validate your project, the project you want to embark on, and give you feedback. So, well, from experience, this when we embark on this project, this was the outcome, and this was the benefit. Okay, I think we should embark on this project. It will be easy. It will be that and that and that. All those plenty grammar. That is what peer review. Then the third one is the scoring model. The scoring model. The scoring model. All right. The scoring model is let me just ask. Let me ask. Okay. Lola. Yes, scoring model. What do you think it means? All right. Yeah, you are correct. You are correct. Um, Wally, what about you? Yes. What is a scoring model? right. That's good. That's good. So, if you look at the concept of scoring model, the scoring model concept is as old as when we're still in primary school. All right. If you can still remember that season in primary school where they told you to come and do debates, and they told you that for you to pass and win, or they gave you a criteria, and that criteria they told you that, oh, your eloquency will give you 2 marks, your presentation will give you 5 marks, your appearance will give you 5 marks, your content, your this, your that. So you see that it is not just your presentation that gives you all the mark, all right? And you will be judged based on the committee that sets up that criteria. If you can still remember that method in secondary school or in primary school, that is the same method we are referring to as scoring model. It's still being used today in American Idol, Nigerian Idol, all those business TV show series where you see a set of panelists. They are looking for winner, like the most beautiful girl in Nigeria kind of parole. You see a set of panelists setting up those criterias that they can score. I'm telling you the scores that you can get to achieve great, to pass to the next stage. That is the scoring model. So the scoring model is that approach, or is that method whereby a project selection committee is appointed and they decide on the selection criteria for that particular project. And whoever has the highest score automatically becomes the best choice. So a project selection criteria can be just like, as we have mentioned, it could be maybe in terms of profit. Okay, this project we want to embark on, are we going to make profit? What is the percentage of profit? The assigned score, because that is their selected criteria. Okay, is it going to be easy to launch in the market? The assigned score. Okay, market acceptability, is it going to be easy? Marketing, maybe the marketing resources, are we going to easily get it? So all those becomes criteria. So you see that is weighted score is attached. That okay, if the profit potential 5 mark, this 2 marks, this 3 marks, at the end of the day we calculate it 10 marks. Then you now put an agreement that okay, if any of this project, the one with the highest mark becomes the one of choice. So that is the scoring model. As you can see on the screen, this is a sample of a scoring model. You can see the criteria that has been agreed upon by the project selection committee, and they attach weight to it. All right, and each of project A score, you can see project A score giving us a total project A score. So all this, how did they get this? Multiply the weighted score and this project score to get the total score for that particular project. So that's how they got this, got project C, got project B. So automatically the project of choice interpretation, the project of choice automatically becomes the project with the highest score. So also in the case of winning most beautiful girl or most talented person, the person that has the highest score in terms of performance that gets or pass to the next stage. So that is what the scoring model. Please, is this clear?
It's clear.
All right, Mr. Iberi, please, is it clear? Hello, Mr. Iberi. Oh, hello, Mr. Iberi. I hope Mr. Iberi has not fallen asleep. Oh, Mr. Iberi, I want to be scared that I hope you are not falling asleep, sir. All right, it's good that it's okay. Yes, yes, I can hear you. It's clear. Okay, so that being said, so now let's now go to um, the financial method. Okay, I said the non-financial and the financial, right? So let's now go to the financial. The first one under the financial is the cost benefit. Cost benefit. Yes. Godwin, what is cost benefit? Hello, Godwin, what is cost benefit? Okay. So which means we are saying that cost benefit analysis or cost benefit as a financial approach is that comparison we do when we are looking at the cost of getting that product and the result we will get or the benefit we will get from that particular project. All right. So that comparison that takes place between the amount of money you will spend to get that product and the benefit the product will bring is what we refer to as the cost benefit analysis. All right. So I also want you to take note. We call it the so take note of this. We call it the BCRO is equals to revenue over revenue. BCRO is equals to revenue over costs. So BCRO in this context now is what the benefit cost ratio. So the benefit cost ratio is often refers to as revenue. Remember, revenue is different from profit. Over yes, yes, go on. They are the same thing. Because now if you want to put it in ratio in the analysis now it becomes benefit cost ratio, which means benefit on top and cost under. So that would say BCRO. So the ratio is now what? BCRO is equals to benefit or revenue over cost. Interpretation. Interpretation. When your BCRO is greater than 1, BCRO greater than 1, that simply means that the benefits outweigh the costs, and that is a good choice to go. When the BCRO is greater than 1, by the time you divide benefit over cost and you have 1 point something, it means it's telling you that wow, that interpretation is showing to you that yes, it's a good choice. Why? The benefit outweighs the cost. Okay, then when the BCRO is lesser than 1, it simply means the cost outweighs the benefit. It is not a good choice of project. So when BCRO is equals to 1, it simply shows that you are at the broke even point. All right. So excuse me, sir. What about if we now have all the 3 projects that we want to select? All of them have a BCRO greater than 1. Simply select the project with the highest BCR. Shey that is clear. All of when we now did the calculation BCRO for the 3 projects we want to use that we want to embark on, and now discover that they are all greater than 1. They are good choice for the project, but the one with the highest BCRO should be the best choice. Then the next thing we should discuss is the payback period. Payback period. Yes, Mr. Iberi. Hello, Iberi. Hello, Iberi, are you there? Yes, payback period. What's payback period? Okay. Are you still there? All right. No, don't stress yourself. Don't stress yourself. Don't stress yourself. All right. And another thing again, as much as often, I want you to freestyle. All right, Mr. Ibiri, can you hear me? Mr. Ibiri, can you hear me? I'm not looking for a perfect answer. All right. The idea of this course is that we can say what is in our mind. If it's correct, it validates that it's correct. If it is not correct, we make adjustments to that knowledge. All right. Do you get it now, please? Just freestyle. I don't want just freestyle. Just freestyle. Tell me what is in your mind. That's all I need. Because the idea of this project, if you can understand the concept, it works. You will be able to relate it anytime you come across the terms. All right. So payback period is simply the length of time or the period it will take the organization to recoup back the initial investment for that particular project. So payback period is simply that time that organization, out of those three projects they want to select, what time will it take us to recoup, to get back the money we invested or we are spending on the project? We refer to it as payback period. Take note, not the profits, but rather the money we invest in that particular project. We refer to it as what? The payback period. That clear? So automatically, interpretation. The project with the shortest payback period automatically become a project of choice. All right. While the project with the longest payback period automatically become a project we should discard. But note, in the real world, I would also like you to note, also for the purpose of exam, payback period is not the most or one of the most reliable means of one of the reliable method of project selection. Why? Because we have discovered that you may have a project that have a payback period of 6 months, and you now have a project that have a payback period of 18 months, but what you will get as a payback for the project of 6 months may just be 500,000, but the payback for that project for 18 months may be 4 million. So you can now see that that payback period, having to choose the shortest payback period, is not a justification for making profits in the project. So you now see that, oh, if I decide to embark on project 2 that have a long payback period, that has defied the interpretation of payback period. So that is why I reverted by saying that you must note for the purpose of exam. Among other options is not the most reliable, but you can also use it to confirm. Is that clear? All right. So there's a question here on the screen. All right. Yes, Lola, can you read this question out for us and tell us the payback period? Excuse me. Oh, All right. Yes. Are you sure? Can you look at it? All right, that is a year and a quarter. Okay, so that is what? 15, 15 months. All right. So then the next one is internal rate of return, the IIR, the internal rate of return, the IRR, sorry, the internal rate of return. So what is the internal rate of return? Yes, Godwin, can you explain that for us? Okay, Wale, what about you? Mr. Iberi, you want to say something? Okay, internal rate of return. Yes, Wale, are you there? All right, Wale is not there. All right, internal rate of return. I want you to think of the way you make investment in the bank, just the way it works with the banking system. That you need to invest or you need to do a fixed deposit, all right? Or you need to, yes, you need to make an investment. And then I tell you that, you know what? Come and put your 20 million in our bank. We will give you 5% rate of return annually. Then another bank called you and said, please come and put your money in our bank. We will ensure we give you 12% rate of return annually. And the fourth bank called you and said, you know what, please come and put your money in our bank. We will make sure we give you 8.5% of internal rate annually. So which bank will you choose? Automatically, you will choose the bank with the highest returns. So that is the same way internal rate of return works. So the interpretation for internal rate of return is simply the project with the highest return or the highest rate of return automatically becomes a project of choice. That is how the internal rate of return works. All right? And take note, on all these project selection technique we have mentioned in hierarchy, internal rate of return is still the most valid. Hello, for the purpose of exam. All right? Is that clear? Are we together or we are getting tired? Okay. Yes, it's the most reliable as relate to project selection. All right, so we're going to go a little bit mathematical now. All right, it's easy. Don't let that trouble you. So there's already formula. So now we want to look at what we want to look at the net present value. All right. So there's no way we can talk about the net present value as one of the method under the financial approach without talking about future value. All right. It is this technique that those loan company use. All right. Oh, you want 2,000 naira now? They tell you the future value of 2,000 in the next 3 days. They tell you the future value of 20,000 in the next 30 days. So why do we talk about future value now? If, for instance, you are investing 1 million, you can say, okay, at the rate of 2%, what will be the future value of 1 million in the next 2 years? You can easily detect that future value, and this is the formula. Future value is equals to present value, the amount you are investing, open bracket 1 plus the rate of return, close the bracket, raised to the power of n, which is the number of years of investment. So future value is that techniques that looks at the future value of money and it puts it into consideration, just like as I've said. Those that are performing loan, this is exactly what they do. So you can see this example. They tell you that the value of 2,000 naira that you want to collect today as a borrow, in 3 years' time, at the rate of 5%, will give you so amount. All right. So I want you guys to use the formula on the screen and do your calculation. Let me see if you are going to get this figure. All right. So that will tell me that you understand, you can apply that calculation. So from that calculation, let's first and foremost calculate the future value. And in this case, we said that the formula, the future value is equals to PV, which is present value, 2,000, open bracket, 1 plus the rate of return. The rate of return is 5%, close the bracket, all of them raised to the power of n, which is the number of years, 3 years. So quickly do that calculation. Let's see if you have this answer. Future value is equals to present value, open bracket, 1 plus I, close bracket, raised to the power of n. Excuse me. Yes, your answer, please. You're getting what? 2216. That's not correct. Okay. How did you? Any other person? Let's hear from somebody else. Godwin, what about you? Wally, what about you? Yes, your answer, please. Okay. 2.315. All right. So that's it. All right. Okay. Any other person got that same answer? All right. So let's do it together. Iberi, um, any answer? Okay. All right. So let's do it together so that so PV is 2000, open bracket 1 plus I. So the I is 5%. So we're going to do 5 divided by 100 will give us 0.005. Okay. So you're going to write it there and raised to the power of n, which is 3. So the next line will now be 2000, open bracket. So 1 plus 0.005 will be what? 1.005, right? Close. 0.5 will be 50. 50, no, let's check it. 5%, 5%, 5, now, yeah, 0.05. All right, so it will, yes, 1.05. So 1.05 raised to the power of 3. All right. If assuming you are using a phone calculator, what that simply means is that multiply 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05. All right. Do you get that? So not 1.05 times 3. It will be 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05. If it is 4 that is there, that is number of n, 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05. Whatever you get as an answer is very accurate. Then you multiply that figure with your PV, which is 2000. You're going to get 2315. Is point what? Come again. Exactly. 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 All right. So that is clear, right? So now let's revert. You said what, Lola? You said what?